Because the breaking news, I think you might have guessed it, is that Manchester United have sacked Ruben Amorim. OK, Jamie predicted it just a few minutes ago. He has gone. We understand he met with Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada this morning, and they informed him that he was being relieved of his duties. Right, our reporter Daniel Kahn is there at Manchester United for us. Right, Daniel, just tell us more about this, how it's come about.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, just to recap that breaking news, Manchester United have sacked their head coach, Ruben Amorim, after 14 months in charge. He met with the director of football, Jason Wilcox, and CEO Omar Barada this morning, who, as you mentioned, have relieved him of his duties. Now, this comes after his post-match comments after that 1-1 draw at Ellen Road yesterday, where he kept repeatedly saying he is the manager of Manchester United, not the head coach. But as we reported late last night, there'd been increased tension between Ruben Amorim and the hierarchy at Manchester United, especially between director of football Jason Wilcox, and that has led to the United boss leaving the club after 14 months. I told you earlier this morning there'd been a mood shift in recent weeks. This has been building up for weeks now, especially since Christmas Eve, and it seems like it has now come to a result of Ruben Amorim now leaving Manchester United just after that 1-1 draw yesterday. Incredible news this morning.
Yeah, it definitely is, Daniel, and Jamie's going to get involved in this as well. It was very strange last night, wasn't it, when he said, "I am a manager, not a coach." But we know that his title is head coach, and it confused everybody there. He seemed to be taking a dig at transfers. I mean, was he supposed to have a say in transfers? Because normally a head coach doesn't have that much of a say.
Yeah, Tom, I think there's two components to this. I think there's one that I think when he was referencing he's a manager, and he also referenced big names like Thomas Tuchel, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte. I think what he was saying there is he doesn't want to be dictated to like these big name managers in terms of their style of play. They will play however they want and deploy their teams however they want to win football games. And as we reported last night, a lot of this strained relationship between Amorim and the hierarchy had been about the tactical approach of the team this season. We know Amorim has always consistently been bullish about his 3-4-3 system. We've seen that tweaked in recent weeks against the likes of Bournemouth, that 4-4 draw at Old Trafford, the win against Newcastle. But then in the last two games, he reverted back to his 3-4-3 against Wolves, Leeds yesterday. Two uninspiring performances. And I think there were real questions raised this season around his system. I remember when they played Fulham at Craven Cottage, Marco Silva, Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi all talking so openly about how easy it was to play against Amorim's team. I think with a hierarchy that raised serious questions. Grimsby away, although they played a slightly weakened team, continuing with three centre-backs away to Grimsby. Serious questions having gone out of the Carabao Cup at that stage. Brentford away was also a very questionable performance in that loss as well at the G-Tech Stadium. So I think this has been building for a while. Transfers has been a separate issue. From what I understand, that hasn't been the main reason for their tensions, although they had different strategies about it. Amorim wanted to spend this month, whereas the likes of Jason Wilcox and the likes of Christopher Vell, head of recruitment, looking at transfers, they didn't want to make the previous mistakes of the previous regimes at the club, really risking their future windows, really wanting to reinforce long-term the midfield. For example, we know they have a short list of the likes of Carlos Baliba, Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton. If they spent this month, that would put moves like that in jeopardy, and that's something, while being sixth in the table and just a few points off a Champions League place, they don't want to do this month. So look, there's been a few components to this, and it just felt like they ended up on the wrong sides of this argument, and now that has resulted in Ruben Amorim leaving the club.
Yeah, it's big news. Daniel, we'll be back with you later in the day, no doubt. Thank you. Reaction, OK, what is your reaction to this? Adam, did you expect it this morning?
Yes, I'm going to be completely honest. You cannot go against the board the way that Ruben Amorim did and question everything that they are doing and what their processes are, who's doing what role, who should be doing what job. Like Ruben said in that press conference, I think everybody looked at that and everyone's reaction to it straight away was he's just signed his resignation letter right there. You can't do that against the boards. Maresca literally just did the same thing with Chelsea. As soon as you mention anything above you, board level or come to the media and do that, then that's pretty much it. I think this was on the wall.
Do you think he knew, he's looked at the Maresca situation, he's looked at the Nuno situation and has thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. And you know, if you, as a manager, if you kind of do want the sack and you've had enough of what you're doing and where you are, you go against the board and inevitably, you know, straight away they're going to make a decision. And they've done that straight away. I think he wanted the sack.
Do you know what? I would normally argue against you, Jamie, on that because I've defended Ruben quite a bit, but this is so out of character. You're probably right in a way because he never, ever does anything like he has done in these last few press conferences. Something definitely happened behind the scenes, and we've seen it the last few, him walking off, for instance. Ruben's been brutally honest and answered every single question, going back to what Jamie Jackson of The Guardian asked him in the pre-match press conference ahead of the Leeds game, where he says, I'm not going to talk about that. That was regarding his formation and transfers to fit that formation. I'm not going to talk about that. It's like, whoa. And Jamie Jackson came back at him and said, literally, that's not like you, Ruben, to not answer. So straight away, the warning sign was there. And then going after that game against Leeds, some would say that was a creditable draw. There was no reason to really go in and say what he said, but I think it was planned. It looked like he had everything laid out what he wanted to say. He had it he had it specifically laid out, I think, as well here. And I think that was the big tell. I think he actually thought, you know what? You're going to have to pay me out of here. You're going to have to sack me. And I think it was writing on the wall from them first press conferences at the back end of last week.
Yeah, I said it on Friday and I'll say it again. When it came to Enzo Maresca, I said that if I go on a podcast and slag off Sky Sports News, I can't expect to keep my job. And that's what Maresca did. It looks like that's what Amorim did. Now, this is an interesting question for you, Adam. Are you actually happy that he's gone?
No, not happy that he's gone. For the overall feeling as a football fan, again, is sacking a manager. No one likes it. The ultimate feeling I've got right now is that I'm a bit gutted we've sacked another manager because it looks like my football club has got no idea what it's doing again. That's how I feel right now. Obviously, I understand the results basis of that, and obviously the results are not great for Manchester United, and inevitably the writing's on the wall, like we just said. But overall, right now, I think a decision needed to be made. So in terms of that ruthlessness and what needed to happen, I think, yes, I understand, decision made, let's move on now. But overall, it just makes Manchester United look like a bit of a circus again. And we're back to where we was from when Ineos first took over. And everything that they've done and everything that they've put in place looks like it's a joke again.
He calls this, though, Amorim. His poor performance,
Jamie,
poor
one second.
tactics.
Sorry, Jamie, I've got to interrupt again. And Adam, just stay where you are as well. I'm going to come back to both of you, so just hold that thought. I promise we'll get back to you. But we are going to go back to Daniel Kahn, who's in Manchester, because I believe you've now got the club statement, Daniel.
Yeah, and there's some big news in it, and we'll get to that point. But let me just read it out for you, Tom. This is from Manchester United. Ruben Amorim has departed his role as head coach of Manchester United. Ruben was appointed in November 2024 and led the team to UEFA Europa League final in Bilbao in May. With Manchester United sitting 6th in the Premier League, the club's leadership has reluctantly made the decision that it is the right time to make a change. This will give the team the best opportunity of the highest possible Premier League finish. The club would like to thank Ruben for his contribution to the club and wishes him well for the future. Darren Fletcher will take charge of the team against Burnley on Wednesday. So very interesting there, Tom. He will take the team away to Turf Moor on Wednesday. Darren Fletcher, of course, part of the club's academy staff. He currently coaches the under-18s and, of course, a club legend at Manchester United. And, I mean, we're getting these developments as it happens. But very interesting that they talk about this gives them the best possible finish in the Premier League, they believe, because they are 6th in the Premier League, but maybe a readjustment of expectations, because we know this year Manchester United's target is European football, whatever form that is. But perhaps being 6th, just a few points off a top 4 place, they just weren't seeing that consistency in results, as I was talking about earlier. We'll bring you more as we have it throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, Daniel, thank you. Let's go back to Jamie and Adam, and we'll get to your question in a second. Jamie, just on that, Darren Fletcher, I mean, the statement was fairly standard, but then that last bit about Darren Fletcher taking charge for Wednesday's game, that was the bit that really stood out there. We don't know how long he's going to get, but you've done this with Giggs as interim. You've done it with Carrick. You've done it with Van Nistelrooy. This time it's Fletcher. What do you think about that?
I think it was just whoever's available at the moment to take charge of the Burnley game. I don't think Darren Fletcher is the right choice to continue with Manchester United through the end of this season. I'll say that now. I don't think he's got the experience. He's only just come into that coaching role for the under-18s this season. I understand he probably knows the players. Well, actually, probably he doesn't know the players. This is it's a bit of a shock to me as a United fan right now reacting to this because, again, I get why Fletcher's there. It's the obvious choice. He's a coach at Manchester United. He's well known at Manchester United. But past that, we cannot have Darren Fletcher running our football club or this team this season. There needs to be somebody else brought in. There needs to be a plan. And United fans now will be waiting for the next announcement. Like, what's your plan, Ineos? Where do we go from here? Because this was your man that you put everything behind him, Ruben Amorim. So Jim Radcliffe coming out and saying that he was going to get 3 years to prove that he's the right manager. Only 6 weeks later, he's sacked. We need to know what's happening next. And Darren Fletcher, I love Darren Fletcher. He's not the answer. And I'm probably going to be in agreement with most Man United fans now in saying that I'd be worried if they thought that he was going to be the man till the rest of the season.
Then? Go on, James.
I don't think Darren Fletcher's going to be the guy in charge for long. I think they need a face that everyone knows. They need a face that people can relate to. He's Man United. He's been there. He knows the football club. This has been a whirlwind for them as well. Ruben Amorim coming out last night saying what he said, they've had to act quickly. So they need to get someone in. Who do people know? Who can we rely on? Who can we trust? Darren Fletcher. But they're going to be drawing up a list now of potential managers. Who their managers are, I don't know.
Who would you want, Adam? Who would you be happy with? Who should be on that list? Who would be your number one?
Wow, when you look at it, you look at the obvious. You've got Oliver Glasner from Crystal Palace, although Ineos might want to try and bring an interim in and save money until the end of the season when he's out of contract.
Glasgow, he won't cost a lot, will he? He won't cost a lot if he's in the last 6 months of his contract.
Well, this is debate. This is the debate. United fans now will come out and say, well, you need to act like Manchester United now. An interim isn't going to do. You need to go out and get a manager that's the future of this football club. So I get what Jamie's saying there. They're obviously taken aback by this. They probably weren't expecting to have to sack Ruben today. But Darren Fletcher, for the Burnley game, fair enough. Obviously, we just need to react to the news and get someone in to take charge of the game. Past that, you've got Xavi there, you've got Maresca there right now. And them names are not names that Man United fans will be filled with confidence with. Obviously, you've got bigger names out there as well. I mean, who's available? You've got Zidane who's out there. There's Laurent Blanc out there. I'm really struggling to think who comes in right now this season and takes the reins. Obviously, interim-wise, do you go back? They say never go back. You've got Ollie, you've got Rude, you've got Carrick. There's so many different names could be thrown into the hat right now.
I mean, Southgate seemed to be kind of an Ashworth man, and Ashworth isn't there anymore because Southgate does kind of, just because he was linked in the past. I'm just looking at a list of
forget Maresca because he's had the same problem at Chelsea. So he's not going to go. He's not going to go to Manchester United because he's going to be dealing with the same problem that Amorim's just had. So if Maresca's out, Zidane, he doesn't speak English, right?
I don't think he does.
So I think he's always said that he's never going to want to go to a club where he can't speak the language. So I don't think Zidane's there. Michael Carrick, is he ready for the job? You got Kieran McKenna at Ipswich. You know, he's been at Man United for a long time. Kieran McKenna was there for a long time. They loved him. Proper coach. And if we're looking at Liam Rosenior and going to Chelsea, it wouldn't surprise me if Manchester United look at a situation where they'd take a Kieran McKenna because they want someone who's going to come in, be a head coach, is going to answer to what they want to do. You know, don't question the signings. You come in, you coach the team. I think that if that's the model that they're looking at, don't be surprised if it is a Kieran McKenna.
That is the problem, isn't it? You just laid it out there. It's what Ineos want, what fits them, because the problems come about because Ruben Amorim didn't agree with their structure and what they wanted to do. So is it a yes man that comes in? I'm not being disrespectful to McKenna in saying that he is that type of manager there, but the head coach thing was brought up by Ruben Amorim for a reason, quite clearly in that press conference, and that's not going to float. So effectively, you could take big names out of the equation here because they want to have more of a say to work their magic, and that's where I think the United fans will worry even more because them managers or the head coaches coming in that we're talking about, none have got the experience level to deal with the players at Manchester United or a club of this size. Not one of them have. And like you said with Rosenior, I think that's a bizarre move as well. That's only a temporary one for Chelsea. They can't continue, I don't feel, with Rosenior in charge of them. I honestly,
this is the model that these people are going for, though, right? This is the model.
McKenna is actually, I've just looked it up, McKenna is officially manager, not head coach at Ipswich. But whether that means something, doesn't mean anything. If you're going from Ipswich to Manchester United,
yeah, Ipswich to Man United is a different, different story.
Yeah,
but we can argue about this model that the people are adopting. Chelsea, we're seeing Man United. It looks like this is a model that they've got of sporting director. They're in charge. Ruben Amorim's he's had enough of it, But then you've got the problem they've got now is it's all right sacking the manager, that's fine. You've sacked him, he's gone. You've got to replace him. You've still got half the season left. There's still things to play for.
Well, Champions League to play for.
Yeah, this is a massive time of the season.
Well, see, Tom just said it there. United are 6. We're literally in contention for Champions League. The FA Cup's coming up against Brighton. You've got big games coming up this month. We've got Manchester City at home, you've got Arsenal away, and you've got the FA Cup all in January. This is a massive month for this football club right now, and this season could literally pivot off what happens in January. So this appointment, the one that's coming next as the manager, the interim to the end of the season, or the next permanent manager, is massive. I think it will be interim, and then probably someone like Glasner in the summer. That's just how I see this.
I don't think you'll have an interim till the end of the season. I can't see that happening. I think you're going to go. I think you'll get a manager in the next 2-3 weeks. You have to. You can't have an interim manager
or a coach. A manager or a coach, Jamie.
Well, it ain't gonna be. It's gonna. Yeah, you're going to have a head coach. You're not going to have an interim. Darren Fletcher is not going to take charge of Man United until the end of the season.
What about Carrick? Would Carrick be the man?
What's Carrick going to leave?
Well, you had Carrick. You had Carrick as an interim and didn't give him the job.
Why would he leave and become interim? If he's going to become the head coach on a 3-year contract, then of course. But he's not going to come in as interim. No way.
Well, he could. I suppose he could. He's out of work. It would be like, I've just got something to show you here, Adam, in terms of, obviously, Amorim has now gone. And this is, when I saw this stat this morning, I was quite surprised by it. Of all the clubs who've been in the Premier League since Ruben Amorim took charge, Manchester United got the 4th fewest points. Wolves, West Ham and Tottenham are the only ones below them with just 15 wins in that time. Did it surprise you as much as it surprised me?
No, because Manchester United fans have always picked up on this. The car crash of a season last season, the lack of wins last season, it's quite not surprised at all. I'm just glad that it's Jamie on today with us and he's that Spurs team ahead of us in that league table right there. To be honest, but anyone else could be really going in on Manchester United right now, but that there tells you everything. And when you look at it on a purely football basis, forget the circus, which was the recent press conferences. The writing on paper was on the wall pretty much there with Ruben's results anyway. The pressure was building without all of the outbursts about what role he's actually got at the football club. The results were not good enough at Manchester United, and you drop points against Wolves, who are pretty much relegated, and then to Leeds, who are newly promoted, back-to-back, on top of what you're saying in press conferences. With that record that you've just brought up there, Tom, Ineos are like what Jamie Carragher said last night, does he have enough credit in the bank to even come up against the board now?
Well,
and the results don't give him that. They don't give him that option.
He ain't good enough. It's as simple as that. He ain't good enough. I know you're upset.
You have said that for a while, Jim.
Well, I know. Yeah, Man United fans will be upset because you think, it's another manager gets the sack. It's turmoil and turning the page and starting again. Good riddance. He ain't good enough to be the Man United manager. Simple as that. You stuck at him. You stuck with him because you thought we'd give him a chance, and we're going to stick by him. And we need to give managers time. He ain't good enough. You've seen it. The stats are there. They don't lie. Man United are nowhere near good enough. They've not been good enough since he's come in. He made the club worse. And he come out with all this spill about how he wanted to play and his philosophy and where we want to take the club and this and that, changing the culture, blah, blah, blah. He ain't good enough. Jamie Carragher got it bang on. There's huge pressure. When you come in, you've got to be a good enough manager. And he's proven that he isn't.
Yeah, results will determine a manager's fate no matter what happens behind the scenes. We've all banged the drum about the culture change and everything and the work that's gone on behind the scenes. That's all fine. But we know as Manchester United fans, whenever the results are down the way they are, the speculation and the news and the negativity around the club are just going to take over everything. You have to be winning games as a Man United manager, and Ruben hasn't won enough games, and that's what it's always going to come down to. The fact that he's called the ownership out has just speeded up the process of him losing his job, I feel, and they're the facts, I think, that you've got to deal with there, and I think everyone knew this was coming. It's going to be a difficult job pleasing Man United fans, whoever comes in now. This is going to be one that's going to cause numerous debates going around all of the different podcasts and whatnot now for the next few weeks. I've got no idea, honestly, which way they go or how they're looking at this. I think it might actually be the head coach sort of role. I wouldn't be surprised if someone else is lined up for the summer, though. I really wouldn't.
Okay. All right, Adam. Great to have you on.
Thanks,
Good timing. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Massive news this morning. Manchester United have sacked Ruben Amorim. Darren Fletcher will take charge of their game against Burnley on Wednesday night. We've got a statement from Manchester United. Let's just recap that now. It says Ruben Amorim has departed his role as head coach of Manchester United. Ruben was appointed in November 2024 and led the team to a UEFA Europa League final in Bilbao in May. With Manchester United sitting 6th in the Premier League, the club's leadership has reluctantly made the decision that this is the right time to make a change. And they go on to say this will give the team the best opportunity of the highest possible Premier League finish. The club would like to thank Ruben for his contribution to the club and wishes him well for the future. And this was the big news from that statement there, other than the fact that Amorim had been sacked, is that Darren Fletcher will take charge of the team against Burnley on Wednesday. Well, we can speak to a Manchester United fan now. Chris Edwards joins us. Chris, what's your initial reaction to this?
I'm ecstatic. I can't even lie. Break out the champagne. It's sad that someone's lost their job, of course, 100%. But I'm sure Amorim will find something in another league that is a bit more suited to his tactics and his style. But after everything that has happened, record last year, more losses than wins. The stuff that he said last night was just unforgiving. I can't, understand why he would do that, why he would kind of put himself on the line. And
have you been against him? Because at the start of the season, loads of Manchester United fans we had on, probably you included, were fancying a change. All right. And then when they beat Sunderland and went on a good run, he did seem to win a few people over. Did he ever win you over?
No, because when I was in the studio with yourself, Tom, I said it's down to the fact that he's got better players in place at the moment, which is kind of giving him better results. Everyone's banging on about where we are in the league at the moment, but let's not forget he's the one that led us to the position last year. He's the one that, sorry, Jamie, that made us lose to a Tottenham team. By no right should have won that final last year. You can't have those kind of results and just kind of come up against your superiors in that way. So I'm not surprised he's gone. And, it's a little bit late in the day for me, but at least it's here. Get Maresca interim for the rest of the season.
What? Maresca?
Maresca. I'll
interim?
Take him straight away.
Interim?
Yes, straight away.
You're living in cuckoo land?
Why Maresca then?
Well, he's got pedigree. He knows what he's doing tactically. He done brilliantly in his first season, delivering 2 trophies for Chelsea. He knows the league. I believe he'll be able to get tactically. Jamie, what's wrong? What's wrong, Jamie?
Chris, I know you're ecstatic and you want to get the champagne out that Amorim's gone, but you ain't getting Maresca in as an interim manager. Maresca's credit in the bank has probably gone up since he's been sacked at Chelsea. He's not going to take an interim role at Manchester United. I understand if you want to bring him in on a 4-year contract, potentially, but the reason he left Chelsea and fell out with the board is exactly the same reason that Amorim's just done the same thing. So Maresca's going to look at Man United and go, absolutely no chance am I going there. You're joking. He's got the same problem he had at Chelsea.
It's not the same pedigree, mate. It's not the same pedigree.
What do you mean it's not the same pedigree? It's exactly the same pedigree.
United.
Yeah, and they're Chelsea.
I know they're Chelsea.
Succeeded a lot more and way more than you. They're Club World champions.
Chelsea are a big club. Don't get it twisted. However, we are Manchester United. We're one of the biggest pedigree clubs in the entire
mate, come
world.
on.
You know it's true, Jamie.
Come on, mate. What are you on
Even
about?
without winning any trophies, we've been able to sign players that most clubs would even dream of. We signed Pogba, Ibrahimovic without any European competition at all a few years back. We're actually a massive club. So I think someone like Maresca would come in and do a brilliant job for us.
So you don't think they've got the same pull, Jamie? Is that what you're saying?
No, listen. I can understand if Maresca going to Manchester United. It's one of the biggest jobs in the world. It is,
Of course.
But there's a big but here. He's just left Chelsea because of the same reason that Amorim has ended up getting a sack at Manchester United. He's fell out with the board. He wants to be the manager. He's not happy with the way you do that. He's not in charge of the team and in charge of recruitment and scouting and players. He's had the same problem at Chelsea. That's why he's left. He's not going to then go to another club who's doing the same thing.
No, I think it's different because he actually proved and actually got credit in the bank for him wanting to make some more decisions. Obviously, we saw hearsay for what we're hearing. There's no actual 100% corroboration that what's actually been reported is actually true with what's happened with Amorim. Everyone's just jumping on it as if it's gospel.
What are you talking about? He does an interview. Chris, he does an interview last night slagging off the board, and then in the morning he's sacked. It's pretty, cemented there that's the reason.
Because he slagged off the board.
Yeah, because he slagged off the board because he's come out and said, I want to be the manager. I come in to be the manager, not the coach. That's exactly the same thing that Maresca said at Chelsea. That's why he left.
I'll tell you what, Chris, let me just add to that because, you're saying that we're taking everything as gospel. This is what we understand, by the way, and this is quite new to us. Sky Sports News understands Ruben Amorim's emotional and inconsistent behaviour was a key part of the decision to sack him.
He's
all right?
emotional.
And that's, so it does kind of back up what you're saying is hearsay.
Yeah. I think people need to just realise that at the end of the day, they've looked at it, not just a singular account of what happened yesterday. They've looked at this from across the entire year and a bit that he's been in the club. He's broken the wrong records. He's lost confidence of players. His man management is not the best. And we've seen that with some of the players, with the way he's dealt with them, the Kobe Mainoo situation. There's a few other things here and there. Aiden Heaven, he never played him for 3 months and then threw him in a game last minute to start. That's ridiculous. So I think it's something that's been coming, over the last few months. I just think it's come a little bit later in the day than what I would have hoped. But I think it's the right time because we can rescue this season.
OK, Chris, we've got to go to a break here. We might be able to come back to you after the break, so stay where you are. The producer will speak to you. But